Is it on?
No. We should check. Turn it on and say something. I just want to make sure there's no
Alrighty, hello, hello. All right, everybody press play, get settled. Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Stephanie Ash, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm a double alum of Case Western Reserve University. Just go without the mic? I can do it without the mic. Let's start over. We're going to do it without the mic.
Ma'am, our mics are attached to that, so if you keep that mic off.
You got it.
Thank you.
All right. Can everybody hear me? We're good. Let's start again. Make sure everybody can hear. Good morning. My name is Stephanie Ash, and I use she, her pronouns. I am a double alum of Case Western Reserve University. I continue to call myself a proud alum only because of the students you will hear from today. I'll moderate this press conference. We'll hear from 6 speakers, and I'll introduce each one before they start. At the end of remarks, we'll have a question and answer period with our speakers. Before introducing our first speaker, I want to provide some context for why we're here today. University administrators are inflicting disproportionate and discriminatory punishments on students due to their opposing viewpoints and are weaponizing procedure to silence and chill advocacy. Over 40 case students and about 60 total individuals, including alumni, received interim suspension letters banning them from campus because of their speech and advocacy. The students you will hear from today have not been formally charged as outlined in the Student Code of Conduct. Among the critical concerns arising from the recent conduct inquiries are the potential displacement and loss of housing, issues affecting student employment, risks to current and future on-campus jobs, banning participation in graduation, and jeopardizing law students' eligibility to sit for the bar exam in July. Today, you will hear from students who are directly impacted by the university's attempt to silence speech that they do not agree with. Our first speaker will help build a foundation for the rest of today's remarks. Please join me in welcoming Faten Oda, the Executive Director of CARE Cleveland.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, may peace be upon you. My name is Faten Oda, that is Faten, last name is Odeh, and I am the Executive Director of the Cleveland and Northern Ohio chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, otherwise known as CARE Ohio. We are here today to address the concerning behavior the administration of Case Western Reserve University has ruthlessly displayed when dealing with a certain group of their own students. Those students are not only of Palestinian, Muslim, or Arab descent, but their fellow classmates who have stood in solidarity with them as well. After the undergraduate student body democratically voted and passed a resolution in 2022 for Case Western to disclose their investments in an entity called Israel, an entity who is well known for their human rights and international law violations, and to divest from that entity, the students reported to our office a complete disregard from the Case administration to fulfill the wishes of the undergraduate student body. It is important to note that recently the graduate student body has also democratically voted and passed for the same resolution. The students have spoken loud and clear. They do not want their tuition to support a foreign entity that has time and time again committed well-documented, unspeakable atrocities on innocent civilian populations. Not only were the students' wishes ignored, they reported being targeted, intimidated, and harassed by Case administration thereafter. I have personally reached out to the administration on behalf of the students and met with the Vice President of Student Affairs in November of 2023 and told him the Palestinian, Muslim, Arab students and their allies do not feel safe on campus or welcomed on their own campus. The administration was made well aware of this, but instead of supporting their students, they continued with their discriminatory practices. The alleged tactics included calls on their cell phones from unknown numbers, prohibiting them from holding events on campus as other organizations, the threatening of pulling funding from allied organizations, interrogations during exams, the suspension of their organization, and now we see they have banned them from attending their own campus, their own graduations, are causing them housing issues, and are even withholding their degrees. Instead of honoring these students for their bravery, integrity, and their unwavering steadfastness to stand against injustice and to promote an end to the violence that has claimed the lives of more than 14,000 children in Gaza within the matter of months. Remember that number, more than 14,000 children in Gaza in the matter of months have been killed. Case Western Reserve University has decided to criminalize these students. I would also like to speak as a former educator. We were trained to know and understand that it is our duty as the first line of defense in our democracy to teach our students to resist oppression and injustice anywhere it may happen. Every classic text in the canon of literature that is universally taught and that students have written thousands of papers about have to do with characters who have stood up to oppression and injustice. There is no place in education for hypocrisy. No place. Case Western has retaliated against their students for exercising their right to academic freedom and inflicted disproportionate punishment on their students simply because they disagree with them that an ongoing genocide should not be paid and funded with their tuition. If there is anything you can take away from today, understand that universities are a place for students to learn, think freely, and to form their own opinions and ideas of the world around them. Case Western Reserve University is a place of academic freedom that has suppressed free speech, and has robbed the students and their families of this beautiful and hard-earned moment in their lives. The administration of Case Western has cast a dark shadow on the educational institution and education as a whole. Shame on Case. Thank you.
Our next speaker this morning is Koby Picker. Koby graduated from Case Western Reserve University in 2017 and is a member of Jewish Voice for Peace, Cleveland.
Hi, my name's Koby Picker, Koby Picker. I am an alumnus of Case Western Reserve. I graduated in 2017, and I'm a member of the Cleveland Jewish Voice for Peace. When the students first announced that they were establishing an encampment, they invited members of the community and alumni like me to help protect them because they had seen what had happened at encampments around the country with the vicious response by administrations there. A close friend of mine, Anna, went to offer her support. Within minutes, she was dragged off the oval, her wrists were bound in zip ties, and she was thrown in a squad car, like about 19 other people. This week, she checked her mail. 2 weeks later, received a letter banning her from Case Western Reserve University's campus. She's still trying to rub the feeling back into her wrists. The only threat that the Case administration could have identified on the Oval that morning was the simple idea that tuition money shouldn't be used for violence. The message they sent was clear. Political speech will be met with forceful repression. In spite of that, I myself and dozens of other members of Cleveland's Jewish community attended the encampment in the ensuing week and a half. Together, we sang, we shared food, ideas, and poetry. We celebrated Passover. We observed Shabbat. I saw all types of people there: Jewish, Muslim, Christian, black, white, brown, young and old, students, faculty, and community members, all united under the simple idea that everyone deserves to live in safety and freedom. The beauty of that experience was moving and contrasted starkly to the brutality and vindictiveness of Case Western Reserve's response. I myself, an alumnus and a member of Cleveland's Jewish community, am now banned from Case's campus. And for what? For sharing a Passover meal? Is it right to punish individuals for saying what they believe? Case Western, stop punishing your students. Reverse all disciplinary actions taken against students, staff, faculty, and community members. Let these students graduate, and then really listen to what they have to say. Thank you.
Our next speaker this morning is Yousef Khalaf. Yousef is a Palestinian-American mechanical engineering student who just finished his junior year at Case Western Reserve University.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Yes. My name is Yousef Khalaf, Y-O-U-S-E-F, Khalaf, K-H-A-L-A-F. Like she just mentioned, I am a student here who just finished his junior year at Case Western Reserve, and I'm also from Cleveland. So I went to a CMSD school, Cleveland Public School. And what Case Western kind of sold to all of us before we came here is that this is a school where you can discuss ideas, you can learn, you can innovate, you can think beyond the possible. For many of us who lived in Cleveland all our lives and never really interacted with the university despite it being in our city. And that, like Koby mentioned, was part of why we did what we did together. We protested, we spoke up when we saw something that was wrong. It's not wrong to say that you want a genocide to end. It's not wrong to say that you don't want your institution to be complicit in a genocide. Not just any genocide, but a genocide of your own people and your own students, families. And like Koby said, you had Christians, Muslims, Jewish people, white, brown, black, old, young. It was incredibly moving. I first have to say how amazing it was, probably one of the best experiences of my life. And despite me and my friends, many of whom also from Cleveland, have gotten, as a result, punished. Some of my friends can't graduate, they can't walk. They already missed 2020 graduation because of COVID, and now, because they spoke up, because they had the bravery to speak up against an administration that's threatening and attacking not only their students, but their faculty and staff. They had that bravery. We did what Case Western accepted us for. They accepted us because they knew that we stand for these ideals. They knew that we're willing to fight for what we believe in, and we're willing to pursue these different ideas and have dialogue and do revolutionary things. And now we're being punished for those same things. None of my friends and none of us deserve to be punished for simply speaking up against injustice. It truly is incredibly dystopian for me to get multiple emails from President Kaler saying, oh, I want to celebrate the achievements of the class of 2024, and I want to focus on that. And then the next day, you ban the students who are graduating, who have families coming. There's absolutely nothing just about that. There's nothing right about that. And I think what Case Western Reserve, this administration, whether it's Kaler and or the Board of Trustees, what they fail to realize is they're incredibly behind. They're incredibly behind. Kaler has not even spoke with us. He's refused to engage with us because he thinks that we are actually racist. He thinks that we're violent. He thinks that we're hateful. Despite us doing everything we can to prove otherwise and showing him that we're not. They could have came. We invited him to come speak to us. No, he refused to even engage with us. And universities like Harvard, a bunch of the Ivy Leagues, numerous prestigious universities across the country, they've engaged with their students. They engaged with their students and they spoke with them. And they came to peaceful agreements. Recently, Harvard's president came to an agreement with their encampment, and it ended peacefully. UC Berkeley as well. And with Berkeley, not only did they negotiate and peacefully end the encampment, the president released a statement and he actually recognized the suffering of the Palestinian people. He recognized that there's tens of thousands of civilians dying, innocent men, women, and children. And he spoke with them, he talked to them. As a Palestinian student on campus, and many other who are afraid to speak up, we still don't feel like our university has actually acknowledged our suffering, our people's suffering. Something that's the most documented we've ever seen in our lifetime. It's never been this clear. And still, our president refuses to acknowledge that. He refuses to even speak to us. And I think the message that, like I said, they don't understand is they're behind. Case Western was behind when there was calls for all the universities in America to divest from South African apartheid. And they're behind now. And they're not learning from their lesson. And we've given them numerous chances. We said, come speak to us. Come talk to us. Come to the table. Meet us in the middle. There's absolutely no initiation, no initiative from them whatsoever. So this is an institution that we were told is a bastion for learning, for speech, for dialogue, for academic freedom. And all they've shown to us in my 3 years here is that they're just willing to suppress that as long as it doesn't align with their values. And if it doesn't align with their values, they're willing to do whatever it takes to suppress it, even if it means weaponizing the student conduct, which we know they're using incorrectly. Even if it means threatening students, even if it means intimidating students, even if it means suspending students and stopping them from walking on graduation, which truly is a travesty considering this university claims to serve and protect and help all their students. It's kind of almost comical to see the hypocrisy from this administration. And it's not like we asked them for to solve the issue itself. We're not asking them to end the genocide itself. We're asking them to come to the table, to come speak with us. What is unreasonable about that? We're asking them, we here have been at this university for years, and we've watched our university be complicit. The undergraduate student body voted, like Fatin mentioned, in 2022, overwhelmingly. They said, we don't want our institution to be investing money and profiting off of the death of innocent people. Weeks ago, the Graduate Student Council just did the same, with an even bigger majority. What happened with the encampment was a result of people not being listened to. When people don't feel like they're being listened to or they're treated unjustly, they protest. We see this in history throughout, whether that's the Boston Tea Party, the Civil Rights Movement, numerous civil rights movements in America. Every single movement or revolution or call for liberation, it all happens when they don't feel like they're being listened to. And it's crazy to think, because all they could do, the easiest thing they can do to help mitigate this, which is what other university presidents have done, is just speak to them. At the end of the day, I'm a human. Am I not a human in President Kaler's eyes? Is it just because I'm Palestinian, I'm not taken seriously, or I'm looked at as violent and hateful? What is it about us? Is it the color of our skin? It's ridiculous, especially for a university that claims to protect its students and serve its students. And so I'm just going to reiterate a call that my colleagues have said already. It's for a call for amnesty for all those students involved, which also, like I said, many of those universities have done. For example, at Harvard, they granted them amnesty in their negotiations and other things. This is not an unreasonable thing to ask. We're asking for them to stop weaponizing their code of conduct to threaten and attack students. They've been wildly inconsistent as well. We have done what we can to support everyone. It's been, the number I believe is 50 plus students punished / banned or suspended. 50 plus. And we are still doing everything we can to support those students and stand with them. Something that this administration has not done fairly at all. And so, as I allow the next speaker to come, I just want to reiterate that Case Western Reserve University is supposed to be a place where ideas are conveyed, where learning happens, where innovation happens, where there's academic freedom. We can talk, we can have basic dialogue about these things. People don't even feel like they've been able to talk about this issue on campus. And this is what we expected from the university. And sadly, we've been disappointed. We've learned that they are only committed to suppressing speech, to suppressing dissent, not helping their students, not serving their students, not protecting their students. They're willing to put their students in harm's way and implement draconian measures at graduation. They're gonna have people open their robes at graduation and take off their caps because they wanna make sure they don't have banners or posters or flags. We all know this is just another way of saying, don't bring anything Palestine to the graduation. And this is just ridiculous, that this university has come this far and has come to these lengths just to defend a foreign government committing genocide. And so while we're here today, the fight never ends. When I graduate, when Jad graduates, when Michael graduates, when we all go, the movement at Case Western Reserve University will be stronger than ever. And we're not going anywhere. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Mike Grimm. Mike is a graduating third-year law student.
Hello, my name is Michael Grimm, M-I-C-H-A-E-L-G-R-I-M-M. This is my first time doing a press conference, so if I'm bad at it, I'm going to chalk it up to that. A little bit is my background. I spent 6 years in the Air Force as Air Force Security Forces before separating from that contract and then coming to Case Western on the Montgomery GI Bill. That's why I can afford Case Western. Yeah. I'd like to introduce a little bit about the conduct process that we've gone through since Yousef laid the facts out pretty well for us for leading up to that. On about Monday this week at 10 a.m., I received an email notifying me that I would be declared persona non grata from campus, that I would not be allowed to participate in graduation or any of the other ceremonies associated with that, and that I would have my degree held until the end of this conduct process. As it's kind of come out, I think that conduct process is going to take about a month total before that sorts out, and I don't know if they're factoring in me just laying down and accepting all charges and admitting all wrongdoing, or how that timeline works. Because the fact of the matter is that I don't think I'll be doing that. I don't believe that anything that happened at the encampment over the 11 days that we were there is not covered by both the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and Case Western's own policies. Throughout the process at which I spoke to the administration, they didn't come out and say it, but their questioning made it clear that it was their opinion that particularly two of the slogans that we had done, mentioning from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, and any mentions of intifada was probably outside of their conduct policy. Their belief was that that was threatening. I don't know that that comports to the First Amendment's idea of what a true threat is, and we can debate the merits of that on a different date. But as it exists, it strikes me as absurd that a law school that is supposed to be a bastion of free speech, that encourages this level of debate, that encourages this kind of conduct, it's a requirement for us to engage in this kind of conduct through our scholarship at the university. We need to write a note. We need to participate in some kind of actual debate that's happening. And to see their students do that, for the faculty to approve us. I mean, my grades weren't perfect, but they're good enough to graduate. And the other law student, I know she got good grades too. For the faculty to okay that, and then for President Kaler to come and say, no, actually. I know that you said that they participate in these debates. I know that you've said that their conduct's been good, their grades have been good, but I'm gonna go ahead and hold it. Now, a temporary hold isn't the end of the world, except that the Ohio bar is on a tight schedule if we want to actually take the bar in July, which we've invested a lot in. A lot of law students have jobs that are relying on this. We have a very expensive bar prep services that we've contracted with to get us ready for this test. We may have even started trying to get ready for it already. And to be held in limbo like this is stressful, to say the least, and it's risking a lot of our careers and a lot of our futures for an opaque process that's completely devoid of due process. None of the evidence of what we've done has been presented against us. None of the charges have actually been levied against us officially, just a vague reference to our involvement in the encampment, and that's it. So, as part of our calls, we would like Eric Kaler to come to the table, but at least some transparency in this process as well. I accept that, sure, we might not finish by Saturday, which is the law school's commencement, and there are some things that have to happen here. But without intervention, this timeline is almost assuredly going to keep me from sitting from the bar in July for, again, behavior that that's what college campuses are for. It's for these kinds of debates. It's for these kinds of actions. The legacy of sit-ins at college campuses, especially anti-war protests, is extensive, especially in Northeast Ohio. We were very conscious of the fact that our encampment, covered May 4th, the 54th anniversary of the Kent State shootings that happened during the Vietnam War protests. And so, I guess if there's one takeaway from my perspective on all of this, it's just that I don't know if it's because the administration hasn't heard of the First Amendment and due process, or if they merely think that those ideas don't apply to them, but they do, and they should apply to us. Thank you.
Our final speaker for today is Jad Oglesby. Jad is a graduating undergraduate.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jad Oglesby, Jadkamhawi-Oglesby. As mentioned before, I am a senior and I am an undergraduate that is supposed to be graduating here shortly. I'm the president of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Pi Chapter, the former president of Students for Justice in Palestine, two-time captain of the varsity soccer team here at Case, and the founder of our Black Letter Winning Athlete Coalition. And I'm also someone that will be unable to celebrate those achievements at this year's commencement. I want to take my time here today to speak on 3 points: identity, legacy, and what we can learn from the sacrifice and the experience of students, faculty, and Cleveland community members at large. I am a dual ethnic identity Palestinian African American man. Those two identities, growing up in those two cultures, taught me the value of standing up for social justice, being proud of who you are, in spite of overwhelming aggression and oppression. Throughout history, people of my ethnicity and my identity have been oppressed, both in the United States and overseas. And because of the values that were instilled in me through my parents, that I've been able to stand proud, to be able to advocate for causes that are just and causes that many others may be in fear of advocating for. I'd like to speak to my experience here at Case Western Reserve University. Prior to this encampment this semester, we held another protest during the fall of 2023, where students organized in civil disobedience over the same issue because our administration failed to acknowledge the suffering and the mass death of Palestinian students, just like how they've acknowledged the suffering of those who were victims of the October 7th attack. Our administration has clearly alienated the Palestinian student community here at Case Western Reserve University and has weaponized our conduct process to silence a political narrative and to silence an identity here at Case Western Reserve University. Through our orderly protest in fall 2023, where we gave 2 weeks notice, we protested as civilly as possible, no violence, no threats, everything conducted as perfectly as it could possibly imagine, following the time, place, and manner of a protest. How were we treated as a result of this? As mentioned before, I am the captain of the varsity soccer team, and we were on our way to the NCAA tournament. I was forced to sit on a conduct policy meeting during that time or threaten removal from the soccer team and suspension and potentially other conduct violation matters. I was forced to sit on a bus on a conduct meeting in front of all of my teammates, the students and athletes that I'm supposed to be leading towards victory in the NCAA tournament. In the name of Case Western Reserve University, they had to sit by and watch as I was persecuted for enacting my First Amendment rights and for adhering to my identity and the lessons that were taught to me, to stand up for what is right, to stand up for downtrodden people, to stand up for social justice. And then that brings us here today with our encampment, where students, faculty, and community members sacrifice their time, money, and much more, advocating for our institution to be on the right side of history. I'm proud of the efforts of our students, of our community, and of our faculty. I'm proud of the bravery that they all exhibited in standing up for a just cause in the face of an oppressive administration who seeks to silence us. In the past, protesters have been labeled as radical, as malefactors to society. That's how we were labeled during the civil rights movement. That's how protests were labeled during the Vietnam protests. That's how protesters were viewed during protesting South African apartheid. And that's how we are being labeled today. So as I stand here, I would like to ask the question: what is the legacy of our students here And what is the legacy of Case Western Reserve University? What lessons have we imparted onto our community and to our students? The lesson that the students, faculty, and community members have taught is that it's okay to be Palestinian. It's okay to be sympathetic to a cause that is just. It is okay to enact your First Amendment right of freedom of speech and freedom of protest. Because we will stand in solidarity with you, regardless of your religious background, regardless of your ethnic background, regardless of your sexual orientation. Because at the end of the day, the sanctity of life reigns supreme above all else, and students here, faculty, and community will sacrifice anything that needs to be sacrificed in order to ensure that, and in order to ensure that our leaders here in the Cleveland community and our institutions here stand on the right side of history. So as I conclude my segment, I would like to ask a question. What does President Kaler want to teach students at Case Western Reserve University? Does he want to teach students that it's not all right to be Palestinian? That it's not all right to go to extreme lengths, to long lengths, to advocate for a just cause? How is President Kaler going to react when the next Black Lives Matter movement approaches? Does he expect African Americans to not advocate for their rights and to not protest on campus? What does our Mayor Justin Bibb expect to teach our Cleveland constituents? That's not okay to call for a ceasefire. That a call for peace, a call for solidarity is unjust and wrong. These individuals, the president of Case Western Reserve University and the mayor of Cleveland, are the two sole individuals standing in the way of solidarity in the name of peace for our Cleveland communities. I just want to ask you guys, what is the legacy of Cleveland? Thank you.
All right, before we open the floor for questions, Jad has an announcement that he would like to share.
In light of the current developments with students here at Case Western Reserve University, the People's University for Palestine would like to announce the People's Commencement. Which serves to celebrate the hard work, sacrifice, dedication, and perseverance of students, faculty, and the greater Cleveland community. This will occur on Sunday at 1 p.m. at Wade Lagoon. Thank you.
I'd like to invite the speakers to come surround the podium so that we can more easily answer your questions.
Question quickly, example of signing the live chat.
Absolutely.
I just received a statement from the university about 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
Contradicting some numbers, so I don't know who wants to answer it, but they say of the 2,700 students who are set to graduate, 12 are going through the conduct process and 3 are prohibited from participating in commencement ceremonies, and that's because they have threatened to disrupt the ceremonies. And one other thing, they say that people living in the residence halls and the dining plans, that they're ensuring that they have continued access regardless of their PNG status. Can anyone respond to this?
Yes, Jed.
To answer your question, as we may know, many of us have been, engaged in this conduct process. I am one of those individuals that is banned. And I would simply like to ask, how am I a threat to my own commencement? Why can I not celebrate the 4 years of hard work, dedication, and sacrifice to my institution? Why can I not celebrate the 4 years of hard work to achieve my double major in political science and economics? Why am I a threat? Thank you.
So you're one of the 3.
Yeah. I also would like to mention kind of confusing why the university would reach out to you all and say that to you instead of just telling us directly. There's been wild inconsistencies, as some of the speakers have mentioned here, with the conduct meetings that have happened. So many of the students don't even know what's up in the air. I know many students were worried that they were going to get kicked out of housing. So there's just questions, there's anxiety. All these students are not really unsure. And if the university really cared about protecting these students and making sure they were safe, why haven't they been clear and consistent with them? Why did we have to hear this from you guys? Why didn't they just tell us this directly? Not to mention, there's still many students, like we said, are still waiting to hear back from the Office of Student Conduct. So none of that has been clear to them. The fact of the matter is, they've delivered dozens of PNGs, many suspensions, and there's many graduating people who received emails and are incredibly unsure about their future. And I'm just gonna echo Michael's call, because there's, 2 or 3 law students who were suspended and they can't walk, and they spend thousands on bar prep. They've worked for this their whole lives. And now that's up in the air, and like he said, almost assuredly, he's not even sure if he'll be able to take the bar. And some of those people have jobs that depend on that. They can't get the job unless they pass the bar. So I would say, if the administration actually cared, reach out to us, talk to us, be clear with us. Because I know many students right now who are waiting to get emails back from the Office of Student Conduct. I wish they emailed them back and gave them clarification instead of reaching out to the media to try to save face, which is incredibly hypocritical and disgusting of them.
Can I also add?
Real quick, we put out, we asked people if they'd received anything like this. We received 53 replies, so that's the basis of our number. As far as the 3 people who are not allowed at commencement, Jad's not, I'm not, Olivia Cobb's not. That's 3 right there. I don't think that's the only 3. I severely doubt my ability to name people off the top of my head like that. So I don't know where they're getting that number from. It may be just 3 right now, or 3 that they've responded to, because they haven't had as many like code of conduct interviews over the last couple of days that they would have liked. However, I think that number is certainly going to grow.
So right now, the statement that we have says 12 graduating students are involved in the conduct process. Of the 12 students, 3 are prohibited from participating in commencement ceremonies because of their express statements or actions that threaten to disrupt commencement activities and the level of involvement in the annexation of encampment. The other 9 students are allowed to take part in the degree conferral ceremonies, among other commencement-related activities. Decisions on the awarding of degrees that will be made once the conduct process is complete. So is that what you guys have gotten?
I haven't heard anything about that until just now. I would say that that's probably because that's the 12 interviews that they've gotten to over the last day and a half.
But you're saying that there's more students that are suspended.
Yeah, there's way more than just 12. Then I think it was 48 that have PNGs and 53 who received any kind of discipline at all. Persona non grata order is what PNG stands for.
Is there a reason you didn't just go to Wade Oval and do the encampment there off campus and not worry about things?
I can say, we're here. We were protesting our institution's complicity. If we didn't protest on campus, we feel like our target would not have accurately been done in the name of what we were fighting for.
But you don't think you could have done the same message there?
We're trying to talk to the university, and we're protesting our complicity with the university, or their complicity as well. If we protested off campus, that kind of feels like we're not actually protesting the right thing. That would kind of be protesting Mayor Bibb, because it would be on Cleveland public property. But here we're on case property, we're students, we have a right to be on our campus, and many of us, as a result, despite that, were violently arrested just for sitting on grass. So.
For people who have been through the conduct process, the meetings, what does that entail, and what has that conversation been like?
I've unfortunately had to sit into many of these conduct policies process, and they're conducted as such. They first call you in a very deposition style thing where you sit down and they ask you a bunch of questions and you're expected to answer honestly, which all students do. The issue with our conduct process is that they've historically used that measure during times where students are taking finals or where students are, let's just say participating in NCAA playoffs. And then they'll take an extra amount of time to process that information and to get back to you whether they want to conduct a formal process, which students or organizations are expected to stand in a committee to face, charges, or a non-formal process where things are where you're kind of just issued a warning or other lesser kind of punishments. There has not been one time throughout the history of Students for Justice in Palestine where the organization has had to sit through a formal process. And there is a reason for that. The reason is we have not violated student conduct in any clear or heinous way as other organizations might have. It is clear that the conduct policy is being utilized to harass Palestinian students and to harass Palestinian advocacy here on campus. And that is clear as day, because for me, myself, this is my very first conduct violation throughout my 4 years here at Case Western Reserve. And the one particular instance where I can say I outright violated conduct is helping set up a tent. So because of my one and only conduct violation, I am no longer allowed to experience a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity such as commencement. Thank you.
Yousef, you said you were from the city of Cleveland, went to Cleveland School. Which high school did you graduate?
I graduated from Bard High School, early college, Cleveland West.
Are you from the near west side?
Yeah.
West side? Okay. And anyone else from the city?
There was around he said we had a form for people to fill out if they got emails for any punishment. I think the number is actually maybe like a little higher than 53, but we'll just around 55 maybe. But of those, I believe around 10 are from the city of Cleveland. So, yeah.
And they're all
Cleveland
students
Public
at
School
Case,
students, yeah.
From Cleveland schools.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it's, and there's not that many of us here at Case, so
Right.
just clear. And also, I want to clarify based on the statement that they gave people that there's 9 who are willing to participate or allowed to participate now. Many of those students only just recently got emails allowing them to, and if you look on Case Western's website to verify, commencement events happen from May 15th to May 19th. So that means they missed at least a day or two of commencement activities, whether that's convocation, which was on the 15th, or whether that's rehearsal. So it's not like they let these students off scot-free and realized their mistakes. This was clearly an attempt to save face in front of the media as they clearly get backlash for what they've done. And also, it's become clear to us, this was just a scare tactic. They're trying to scare these students. They're trying to intimidate them and tell them, don't do anything at graduation. Don't speak up at graduation. Don't even have a flag. Don't even have anything, So that's also just to clarify more about the statement they gave you. But to watch them attempt to save face and, try to water down what they've done is kind of shameful considering the direct impact it's had on students. Not only objectively with their degrees, whether it's the bar or whether it's getting their degree conferral, but also mentally. The anguish and the anxiety from not knowing your future or not knowing what's to come. This was clearly done on purpose to scare students and to make them stop speaking up and stay silent. And what this administration doesn't understand about their own students that they accepted is that we're not going to back down. We never will back down. This is the reason why you accepted us, and we will continue to speak up despite the inconvenience.
We have time for one more question.
Yes, in Trinity College in Dublin, famously, those protesters were able to get that college to divest. My question is, do we know exactly with certainty what exact investments Case Western allows in any Israeli?
Case Western Reserve University is a private institution, therefore they are not obligated to disclose any of its investments. Yes, so, however, we have had a lot of support, many of which who were emeritus on the Board of Trustees, who have informed me that we do in fact have a investment. And if we didn't have investments in this particular issue, they would have signed off on the resolution and allowed it to actually be conducted because they did the exact same thing during Darfur. back in 2004. Case Western Reserve University students passed a very similar resolution asking Case Western Reserve to divest from Sudan. And they complied with that, to my knowledge, because I doubt Case Western Reserve had any investments in Sudan to begin with. But they've set that precedent of listening to students and divesting, when in case of Sudan and Darfur, as well as fossil fuels, where we also divested from fossil fuels after the actions of our undergraduate student government. And now this is our third divestment bill passed here at Case Western Reserve. And because it has to do with Israel, all of a sudden it's a problem.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending our press conference today. We really appreciate your close attention and listening to our students and those impacted by the university's actions. If you have further questions, we'll be hanging out around here after this conference, but I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and thank you again. Does someone, let's get a picture. Picture of them. Your arm. Yeah, we'll get a